thought I'd do a quick post on the whole Tony Bellew versus David Haye fight that's been announced. Um, I think it makes for a really good fight, a fan-friendly fight. I don't know when or how this beef started originally, but all I know is that I remember that Tony Bellew was calling David Haye the bitch from Bermondsey and making a lot of shout out comments in the media and the press and on TV and stuff like that, and it's just escalated from there. So I don't know what's when it how it originally started. I'm not sure. So if you know the situation, then just post your comments below. Now, basically, my channel is Let's Talk Boxing. So that's basically what it is. It's about all things boxing. I'm not like a journalist or a reporter, or I'm not here to bring you breaking news like some of the other channels do. I'm not claiming to be a boxing expert or like, a gifted boxer and stuff like that. I'm a fan, just like the person listening on the other side, listening to my voice right now. I'm just a fan of the sport. So I'm just giving my opinion. So it's nice to know what people think of my opinion, whether they think it's garbage, whether they think it's good, whether they agree, whether they disagree. And that's what it's all about, really. It's just creating a forum. So a lot of the times when I hear stuff on the news and stuff like that, it's just I'm going to come back to you guys and I'm going to be like, what do you think about, what was said here? And, where did this happen? And we can just really talk about it, just like you chatting in your living room with your mates or whatever. It's just one of those things. But yeah, so Tony Bellew was making those comments about David Haye and all the rest of it. And this beef started when David Haye went to his last fight. And then Tony Bellew just went absolutely schizo on him, and then just jumped out of the ring and kicked something at him, and then just shouting at him, threatening him, and then he just went into this really like big tirade about David Haye's comeback. And to be fair, like, you can't really blame, or you can't really, disagree with what Tony Bellew was saying about David Haye's comeback, because it is really strange that, he's been out of the ring for 5 years and all of a sudden he wants to make a comeback. I mean, is it genuine? Is it because, he needs the money, or is it because he feels the heavyweight division is there for the taking at the moment? Which one is it going to be? I mean, either way, it's up to David Haye to decide what he wants to do. But, Tony Bellew was talking about, he's conning the public and this and that. And the last two guys you fought, I wouldn't have them for sparring partners and all the rest of it. And I mean, David Haye said he's going to be more active, but I mean, to be honest, when it comes to things like that, you've been out of the ring for 5 years, you sign up to fight somebody, right? And do you really expect them to kind of drop when you catch them with a glancing blow and be out for the count? I mean, he's been out of the ring for 5 years. You can't expect him to get into like these big major fights without him fighting some preliminaries and some warm-up fights, because he's not ready for those kind of fights. But at the same time, what is the point of saying, I'm coming back, and then you only fight, how many rounds did he have? Like 4 or 5 rounds in total. So you're talking about this big comeback, but at the same time you're boxing 5 rounds a year. So how does that make for a comeback? How does it make your training any different to what it was? Because when David Haye said he was coming back from retirement or from his injury, he was like, well, the reason why I was getting injuries is because of the way I was training. It was because of the inactivity and this and that. And I know he's got a new trainer with in Shane McGuigan, so maybe their approach to training is different, but I don't see where the major changes are if you're fighting twice a year and you fought a few rounds. How is that a comeback? I mean, you could do a Derek Chisora, before he fought, who was it? Pulev. He'd fought like, I can't remember now, but he fought like 8, 9, 10 times, something silly like that every other month. And that is really, if you're going to fight people like that, if you're going to fight people that aren't going to give you a test, and you want to kind of get back in the ring and you want to warm up and you want to be a bit more active, then do it the way Derek Chisora did it. Have about 5 or 6 fights against opposition that are just going to give you the rounds that you need, and then get yourself up to that level where you can fight bigger fighters. Or maybe he doesn't need that. Maybe he just needs those 2 fights to get the ring rust out, whatever the case may be. But whatever way you look at it, Tony Bellew thinks that it was a pathetic comeback. 2 pathetic fighters that he wouldn't use for sparring, and he called him all sorts of names. He talked about, David Price rocking him in sparring or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was. He thinks that he can beat him. So it does make for a very interesting fight. I think that David Haye is going to beat Tony Bellew. If you want me to be honest, I think he's gonna beat him, and I think he's going to beat him convincingly. I think Tony Bellew is a good fighter, but Shane McGuigan hit the nail on the head when he said, David Haye is an elite fighter and Tony Bellew is a good fighter, but he's not an elite fighter. And I think that's the difference between the two. And I like Tony Bellew, but I think David Haye is going to beat him, and he's going to beat him convincingly. I think it's going to be like a 6 or 7 round job, if you want me to be honest. I think Tony Bellew is in for a lot of trouble, because I think David Haye is an elite fighter. I think he's one of the best heavyweights out there, and I think he gives a lot of the current heavyweights a run for their money, be it Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, or any of the Deontay Wilder, any of the elite level heavyweights. I think David Haye gives them a big run for their money, and I've always believed this. I think he has lost a bit of his speed, moving up to heavyweight and putting that weight on. I watched his fight against Demori live. I was there, and he looked fast, believe me, but obviously he's not going to look as fast as he did when he was a cruiserweight. But he has lost a little bit of speed, so I don't know what kind of weight he's going to come in fighting Tony Bellew. But I think whatever the case may be, he's going to be relatively light. But I think he's going to beat Tony Bellew. But I watched the press conference the other day, and it was just amazing. Like, to see, Tony Bellew, he talks a good game, and to see and hear David Haye going in on, Eddie Hearn and the Eddie Hearn show and all the rest of it, and him just saying that Eddie Hearn, gets in the way, talks for all the fighters, doesn't allow fighters to promote themselves, like in the days of Prince Nassim, Chris Eubank, and he just went in on Eddie Hearn, and even Hearn himself was really like surprised. He was shocked, I think, and even Tony Bellew was like, but then Haye, a lot of people, I think Adam Smith, after the interview, said that Eddie Hearn does like to be in the spotlight and in the limelight, and he loves his fighters and he's passionate about his fighters and the promotional game. But I think it's true to an extent. You need to let the fighters promote themselves to a degree. So I respect Haye's opinion and view. But what happened after that? Bellew squared up against David Haye, pushes him, and then David Haye just really quickly reacted with a little hook or whatever it was to the face. So it's going to make for a very, very, very exciting fight come March. I think the build up is fantastic. I think it is a fan friendly fight. I'm excited about it, but I think David Haye beats him. I personally think, Bellew could have fought someone else in his division. Haye could have fought someone else in his division. But the only reason they fought each other is because I think it's a money fight, and it's a fan-friendly fight, and it's a business fight at the end of the day. But whatever happens after this, I think David Haye needs to get back on the heavyweight scene, and he needs to start, thinking about chasing those titles and fighting some good fighters and aiming for a title, because, he's 35 now. Obviously, boxers age a lot differently nowadays. We're looking at people like, fighters fighting longer now, generally being more athletic. So for a heavyweight, he's not that old, but you've got young lions like Anthony Joshua, who is a lot younger, and obviously he's got age on his side, and Tyson Fury and all the rest of the young heavyweights, and Deontay Wilder. So he's older than a lot of these guys. So But anyway, this is about Tony Bellew and David Haye. Let me know who you think's going to win this fight. I think Haye's going to knock him out in the 6th or 7th round. Anyway, hit like, comment, and please subscribe. Thanks for listening.